10-speed and brown shoe won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
The Great Train Robbery.
Oh, baby.
It's a period piece farce. It's
God.
really awesome.
There is part of me that just adores period heist movies.
Oh my God, yes.
70s heist movies.
Yeah.
Train robbery movies.
Train robbery movies. Just heist movies in general,
Yeah.
I love.
There's so many. There's that World War II train robbery movie where they have to steal all the art.
Yes.
From the...
I don't remember what that's called.
It's called the so-so train robbery.
The Great Art Train Robbery.
Yes, it is. It's called the Nazi train
so-so. Then we kind of got away with it, robbery.
The okay train robbery. But
it's great. I love it was much more... I don't know what I'd never seen this before. I don't know what I was expecting going in. I know that it's Connery. Yeah. I know that it's Donald Sutherland. Yeah. I know it's Lesley-Anne Down. Ooh. I know it's Michael Crichton. But I didn't really know anything about the true story. I didn't know anything about the movie. Way more heisty than I thought it was going to be. And I was so excited about that.
And it's got those fun layers where you got the setup for the heist, and then you got the heist, and the getting the guys together, and the who can you trust?
My favorite heist trope is when they try to do something and it doesn't work, and they have to refigure it out.
Yeah.
And then it's like high stakes.
Or like it looks like everything's falling apart, but that was part of the plan.
That was part of the plan. Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Ocean's 11.
Oh my God.
The remake.
I love the original remake, Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Clever. But I love this. So this is our Classic Connery month.
Classic Connery.
It's so good. We're covering 4 classic Connery movies.
No James Bond, because that's its own thing.
We'll do him. We'll cover James Bond eventually. Although I do find it ironic that we haven't covered James Bond, and by the end of this month, we will have covered Sean Connery more than anybody else.
Hey, look.
Which is awesome. He's such a good actor.
You're big fans. Yeah, I remember. I haven't seen this movie in decades, probably.
Yeah.
And the thing, I loved it as a kid because there was something about running on the top of a train.
Oh yeah.
That was like just seemed like the coolest thing in the world to me. Like I would love to have the opportunity to run across the top of a train and jump from car to car.
He didn't even jump from car to car.
He did a little bit.
He climbed down and then but I honestly, I don't blame him.
Well, he got hit by
because
the thing.
Would be it is so dangerous. So dangerous.
Well, it looked really dangerous, and he was doing his own stunt. It was crazy.
It was actually very dangerous.
But the things that I remember the most, because watching things again that I really enjoyed as a little kid, there's always a couple of standout moments that define the movie for me.
That are burned into your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the two things of this movie are Donald Sutherland's... He like always has his hands kind of in
like
front of him.
T-Rexing.
But then he gives a little wiggle of the fingers, and you hear the cracks.
Yeah.
Because he's a safe cracker. And a pickpocket.
He does.
He's got the quickest hands.
He's the fastest. He's the fastest.
So I remember that, and then the whole sequence of there's this timed sequence because there's 4 keys that they have to get for this safe to be able to break in on the train to get the gold.
2 keys per safe.
Right.
Yeah.
So 2 of the keys are held in this office. And so they have to break into the office. And that whole sequence just stuck into my brain.
It was such high stakes. I mean, I think this is part of the reason I loved heist movies, because it has high stakes just intrinsically put into the movie because they're always going to get caught.
Yeah, and there's a time limit and the practicing.
Counting. The Clean Willy just counting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1,000, 5,000.
He's just standing in there counting. It's like, why aren't you helping? What are you doing?
Oh, Clean Willy.
Surprised you could count to 75.
Wayne sleep. But yeah, so that's what I remembered. And this was another kind of Sunday afternoon movie the stepdad and I would watch.
Oh yeah, I could easily see this being like an ABC Family movie Sunday night. Airing on TV all the time because it is very family friendly and it is so good. It is so fun.
It's great. Yeah, and it was like I think by the time, this honestly. This probably wasn't one that I watched with the stepdad because it was came out in 78, right?
78. It came out in the States in 79.
Yeah, maybe because if it was playing around 80 or 81.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was on TV shortly after. Yeah,
and completely divorce myself of him, of wanting his attention.
You may have had one night where suddenly you were both watching the movie together.
Probably, but I have such vivid memories of certain parts of this movie, and it's just I was a huge Donald Sutherland fan.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, which is weird because he didn't really do any kid movies. All of his movies were weird and whack.
No, they are. They really are.
But there was something about him, the way he looked, his kind of angular,
he was very
Ichabod cranium.
Yeah. He very much fit into this time period very well.
He always talks.
Those giant mutton chops.
Whenever I think of him, I always think of he did he was on The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
So he was a historian in Springfield who ran the Jebediah Springfield Museum.
Oh, yeah, of course, the founder. Right? Yeah.
And there are all these, big... It's where we get the word "Biggins" because that's what he Biggins them all, which actually became a real word.
Right.
Real word. But
making up words.
Spoiler alert for this 40-year-old Simpsons episode. Just be warned. So Lisa's volunteering at this place, and she finds like this information that Jebediah Springfield was a piece of ass.
Right.
And so during whatever switcheroo double do, the evidence disappears and she can't find it and everybody's making fun of it. Finally, he confesses that he took it. But the line I can never forget, and every time I see him, is, "I pocketed it. I pocketed it." And the way he says, "I pocketed it," it's like the weirdest thing to say anyway, because it's a very...
the staccato is very odd.
I pocketed it. And so that's... For whatever reason,
that always just pops in your head.
My Donald Sutherland.
I understand. That same thing happens with certain actors, where it's just like that one thing that's like, yep, that's what I identify them with.
And then I pocketed it.
I love Donald Sutherland. I realized while writing the script that I have not seen a lot of his movies, and I'm sad because he is such a good actor.
Well, MASH. Don't Look Now. Is that the one with Julie Christie? That's just like this crazy.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
God.
there's a ton. I mean, even in the Hunger Games movies, he was fantastic in that.
Even today, he'll pop up in something.
Yeah.
And because he's still kicking.
Works so much.
Yeah, he's amazing. And Sean Connery was just the coolest.
Oh my God. He was the epitome of the cool heist guy.
Yeah.
Like in this movie. Like he's so good.
But it's so funny. I mean, he's just a working class. And in real life, he was just like a working class casket builder, and boxer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Until he became an actor. He was just a working class bloke. But
he
plays suave and smooth. And
he has such a good charm.
Yeah.
And he's got such a good way with light comedy of like just injecting this kind of lightness to stuff.
And he's got this air of classiness.
That's
just like, he looks good in clothes. He looks good out of clothes. What I found really charming, which I love about these movies too, is none of these guys, they were just hairy, a little bit flabby, not fat, but just like...
He just wasn't toned.
He was enjoying his brisket.
Definitely.
They're hairy, they're just a little chubby, but they're normal, They don't. Nobody needed to look like, superheroes.
They didn't need to be Dwayne Johnson. They didn't need to be super cut.
We thought about what is up here, I'm pointing to my brain,
rather
than what was down here, now I'm pointing to my fat belly. That's what I want to get back to, people.
Yeah.
Brains, not bellies.
Brains, not bellies.
Brains, not bellies. Brains, not bellies.
Okay, sounds like...
Are we doing a show?
From The Simpsons.
Let's get
All
into
right.
it.
Well, take yourself back to 1978, November 18th, in Guyana. Jim Jones leads his People's Temple cult in a mass murder-suicide that claims 918 lives in all, 909 of them at Jonestown itself, including over 270 children. Representative Leo J. Ryan is assassinated by members of People's Temple shortly beforehand.
Oh, my God. I remember this, man.
I was maybe 6 months old when this happened.
And you remember. That was the first thing you ever was aware of.
I have 3 sets of aunts and uncles that are younger than my mom's side, and I distinctly remember my uncle having the Time magazine that came out like 3 days after this happened.
Oh, wow.
And like talking about the whole... They had diagrams of how Leo J. Ryan got shot and like all this stuff, but it was fascinating, and I was way too young to be reading it. I'm pretty sure I was probably like 6. November 27th, San Francisco Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk are assassinated by disgruntled former supervisor Dan White.
Yikes, that was awful too.
That was completely terrible, and he got away with it.
Yeah,
because of Twinkies.
Did he? That was the Twinkie defense?
That was his Twinkie defense, yep. That he had a sugar rush and that he didn't know what he was doing.
Well, that's because the gay panic defense didn't work, so they
Correct.
switched to the Twinkie defense.
December 11th, 6 men rob a Lufthansa cargo facility in New York City's John F. Kennedy International Airport. An estimated $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewelry was stolen, equivalent to $28.1 million in 2024, making it the largest cash robbery committed on American soil at the time. The money and jewelry have never been recovered.
No, it was also, that was portrayed in Goodfellas.
Yeah, that was one of the
heist
for Goodfellas, yeah. They never actually have ever caught anybody for it. They have no idea who did it. They think they know, but they had no evidence.
Well, it's because what was his name? Sonny? What was De Niro's character?
I don't remember.
In Goodfellas? Because he killed everybody.
He did. Yeah, I mean, technically, yes. All the people they thought were involved ended up dying over the next 2 years, either committing suicide or murdered somehow.
And quoties.
Yeah. The one guy, they tried to put one guy away for it, and they just couldn't. But nobody spent any time doing it for it. Although, yeah, all of them are dead. So it doesn't really matter.
There you go.
December 14th, The Great Train Robbery is released in the UK as The First Great Train Robbery. The movie was released in the US on February 2nd, 1979.
So it had a different title?
Yeah, they called it The First Great Train Robbery because it was technically in the UK the first train robbery of a moving train ever. And so they used it for that.
Yeah. Right on.
So the Great Train Robbery starts with Michael Crichton. Crichton was born in Chicago but was raised on Long Island, New York. He was a lonely child, being 6'9" tall.
Yeah, that guy was tall.
He was huge. Crichton wanted to be a writer from a young age. He had an article about Sunset Crater published in the New York Times. That's a crater in Arizona, but he was like 12 or something when he had this article published.
Yeah, there are a lot fewer people on Earth back then.
Okay. Crichton began studying at Harvard.
It is impressive. I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's just, it's nice to know that someone found their passion at a young age.
Sure.
Crichton began studying at Harvard in 1960. While studying, he thought that a professor was unfairly criticizing his style. To test the professor, he submitted an essay that was written by George Orwell under his own name. The professor gave the essay a B-.
Well,
He later said...
Now, Orwell was a wonderful writer, and if a B- was all he could get, I thought I'd better drop English as my major.
So instead, he obtained his bachelor's degree in biological anthropology and graduated summa cum laude in 1964.
Again, not a lot of people, so summa cum laude was
It was literally
back
just
then.
2 people graduating.
Yeah, one would get it and one wouldn't.
Yeah, they'd be mad. They became Charles Manson.
Exactly. There you go.
He was a visiting lecturer in anthropology at the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom in 1965. Crichton then enrolled at Harvard Medical School. Crichton later said,
About 2 weeks into medical school, I realized I hated it. This isn't unusual since everyone hates medical school, even happy practicing physicians.
Great. Nice to know there's a bunch of hateful doctors out there pissed off at what they're doing.
Well... Laser Tag Larry is going to come up once again. Larry, whose birthday it was just recently.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday, Larry. He doesn't listen. But but he went to Harvard Medical School.
Oh, did he?
And quit and went to... he didn't want to be a doctor anymore. He thought that his whole raison was to be a Harvard doctor.
Interesting.
And he was pursuing that. Brilliant kid. And...
just decided no.
And decided no, went to Arizona and enrolled in dental school.
Oh.
Became, I think, an oral maxillofacial surgeon.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But, yeah, he was just like, Harvard, it's not what I want. And it's crazy because he works so hard to get into it. And then he goes to New Mexico. He goes to Albuquerque. It was funny. But, yeah, I mean, he was really happy about his choice.
Oh, good.
But
good.
Yeah, it was just really funny because it's just Harvard, and then it's like, man, I don't know. I don't like it.
Sometimes it doesn't fit. Yeah, sometimes it's just not a thing.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a good laser tag arena.
Oh, so he was mad about that?
Yeah.
He was like, I got to go to Albuquerque. It's the home of laser tag.
Yes, exactly. Massachusetts is bereft of laser tag opportunities.
They just don't get it.
But because it's so damn hot,
right?
It's that's all you do.
You just laser it up.
Mm-hmm.
While at Harvard Medical School, Michael Crichton wrote a novel, Odds On, under the pseudonym John Lang. In fact, his first 5 novels from 66 to 69 were all released under a pseudonym.
Nice.
His first novel published under his name was The Andromeda Strain in 1969.
Another train story.
Andromeda Strain? Is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not necessarily, but it's about it was also made into a movie.
Yeah.
But it's about a virus, I think, that is traveling on a train, and they're trying to steal it or something.
I thought it was something that came from space.
Maybe that's what I think. But I think it's on a train.
Okay. The funny thing is, I've read the book and I've seen the movie. Don't remember either.
Same. I've seen the movie a few times and read the book.
The book's really good. I just don't remember any of it.
His books are very, very easy to read. That's what's great about it. It's like Patterson.
Yeah.
They're James Patterson.
They're fast. They're page turners. You just go.
Not a lot of big words.
Very easy to read.
Yeah, especially with Patterson, very short chapters.
Oh yeah.
Chapters always 1 to 2 pages.
Yeah.
I'll just read a chapter, and then you know.
That's it's like the Da Vinci Code guy,
Dan Brown.
Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've never ever. That was the first time I read something like that, and I was like, this can't be right. This chapter's literally a page and a half.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, no, those were good. You know, the novels were good. I enjoyed the Dan Brown stuff.
Between 1969 and 1972, he released another 5 novels under various pseudonyms. The man was just a writing machine.
Yeah.
The Andromeda Strain was picked up for film production and released in 1971. This led to 2 of Crichton's other novels being picked up for production. Crichton parlayed the Hollywood attention into getting work directly with Tinseltown.
Now, wait. Was Andromeda Strain
The Andromeda Strain.
Was Andromeda Strain, was it a TV movie or a feature film?
No, it's a feature.
Interesting. I always thought it was a TV movie.
No, it's a feature.
I think because when they aired it on TV, they might have aired it in 2 parts or something.
I think they did. It was long. I mean, I think it was like a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah, fit those commercials in.
Yeah.
But I think it was a 2-night event.
Yeah, probably. For his first directing job was a TV movie called Pursuit, an ABC Movie of the Week in 1972, which was also based on a novel he published under a pseudonym.
Nice. Did he tell them?
I'm assuming, although he didn't adapt the novel, someone else did.
Hey, guess who wrote that?
Who?
Guess who wrote it?
Hey, do you like the novel?
John Lang? Do you like it? No, it's awful. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, we should get somebody to rewrite it.
The John Lang guy's a hack. Did you like it? Yeah, I wrote it.
What? In 1973, he directed his first theatrical feature, which he also wrote, Westworld, starring Yul Brynner, Richard Benjamin, and James Brolin.
Oh, my God. I loved that movie as a kid so much. I loved it.
I have not seen it in a long time.
I'm sure it's not good.
I am sure it's probably not, although I love Michael Crichton. And part of me knew that he did this, but I keep forgetting.
He wasn't the best director. Let's be honest.
He
was fine.
He's accessible. He's passable. Like, yes, I mean, he's not like a Kubrick or...
No, but he got the shots.
Kind of the Kevin Smith of the 70s.
But I'm really, really curious to watch Westworld again.
Yeah.
And Future World, the sequel.
Future World, yeah. Which I don't even know. I don't know if Crichton had anything to do with that.
I just remember Yul Brynner's face coming off.
Yeah, and all the electronics.
Yeah.
So Westworld was a surprise hit. Crichton didn't want a science fiction film to be his directorial debut, but it was the only way the studio would let him direct.
Oh.
He was becoming known as being the sci-fi guy. Also in 1973, he had an original screenplay produced, Extreme Close-Up, about a journalist falling into the world of voyeurism.
Okay.
Crichton was hired by a producer on Westworld to write the original script, but it ended up becoming an erotic thriller produced after Westworld, but released a few months before Westworld in 1973. Crichton was not happy with the final result of the film.
All right.
They literally I think it was from the inception to the end, it was like, when it got released, it was like 10 weeks.
Wait, which film? Westworld or the erotic
the Extreme
thriller?
Close-Up.
Okay.
It just ended up being not anything that he wanted, and
Sure.
that Crichton wanted, and so he just wasn't pleased with it.
All right.
Crichton had his 1972 novel The Terminal Man produced and released in 1974, starring George Segal. George Segal. Thank you. Starring George Segal.
Is it George Segal? It's George Segal.
Is
You're
it George
right,
Segal?
yeah.
Okay.
It was not Steven Seagal. It's not Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal.
But it's George Segal.
George Segal. It was directed and adapted by Mike Hodges, who had created Get Carter in 1971.
Which was remade as a movie with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Brian Helgeland.
Yeah, Brian Helgeland.
I think
the original had Michael Caine. It's actually a really great movie.
Michael Caine.
Yes.
I just have to do that every time.
I know. Crichton released the period piece The Great Train Robbery in 1975, his 13th novel, but only his third released under his own name.
I think I just have to go back for 1 second.
Sure.
I think everybody who does a Michael Caine impersonation, the entire impersonation is just saying the name Michael Caine.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's all you have to do.
That's the easiest way to get into Michael Caine is to say Michael Caine.
And that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
It was so the Great Train Robbery was a fairly accurate recreation of the Great Gold Robbery in 1855, but Crichton stated that for storytelling purposes, he did not want it to be constrained by what actually happened. Crichton became aware of the story when lecturing at Cambridge University. He later read the transcripts of the court trial and started researching the historical period. The book was one of the biggest best-selling novels in the U.S. in 1975.
Nice.
The movie rights were snapped up by Dino De Laurentiis, but development on the movie would be very slow.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it'd be an interesting and maybe difficult thing to adapt.
Yeah. I think it's part of the reason why he ended up adapting the way he did. He followed that up with Eaters of the Dead in 1976, a novel about a 10th century Muslim who travels with a group of Vikings to their settlement.
Yeah, they made that into a movie, too.
They did. It was directed by John McTiernan in 1999, starring Antonio Banderas, called The 13th Warrior.
I remember it. That's actually a pretty good movie.
I don't remember liking it, but I feel like I was not in the right place when I saw it.
It was surprisingly good to me. It was just kind of a sleeper. It didn't have any business being a good movie, but somehow it worked. And a lot of it had to do with Antonio Banderas, who is really effing talented.
He's a very good actor.
I mean, the last time I saw him was in the Indiana Jones movie. It was a thankless role, but he was still amazing.
Yeah, he's one of those actors. Every time he pops up, I'm like, hey! Yes. And he's so good.
Jazz.
He's so good.
He's so good. And he was so good in the Desperados
movies. Yeah.
Just such a...
He's a great actor.
Yeah,
he's a great actor.
Very just dynamic.
Yeah.
He was the original Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Even though they're about the same age.
Crichton would release the novel Coma in 1977 and immediately went into pre-production on the movie version.
Oh, God. Every single parent I knew had a copy of Coma in their house.
Actually, I think you're right. Now that you say that, I'm pretty sure my grandmother had a copy of Coma.
I think they just handed them out. Because everyone had
somebody done like the telephone books. Yes. Someone just coming by giving out copies of Coma.
It's Coma Day.
Everybody, look, Coma.
All right, I'll read it.
He would write and direct Coma, released in 1978, starring Genevieve Bujold, Michael Douglas, Elizabeth Ashley, Richard Widmark, Rip Torn, Tom Selleck, Lois Childs, and Ed Harris.
I want to see this again, too.
I don't think I've ever seen Coma.
Isn't it the one about they're like putting homeless people in comas and taking their body parts or something?
Maybe.
I seem to remember that what it is.
I don't remember.
And I think
always
Bujold is the...
I always think Coma has the plot line of that 80s movie with the students, like Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts, where they're putting themselves... Flatliners. I always confuse the two plot lines for whatever reason.
But I think that was the one where they were taking homeless people and doing experiments and stuff on them.
That sounds right.
We'll find out when we do it.
Yeah. It was announced in 1977 by De Laurentiis that the Great Train Robbery would be made in Ireland with American International Pictures, starring Sean Connery and Jacqueline Bisset. American International Pictures was the company from Corman.
Yeah,
Robert
AIP.
Corman. Yes, AIP. In regards to Crichton adapting his own novel, Crichton deliberately varied the film from his book. He said,
"The book was straight, factual, but the movie is going to be close to farce."
Yeah, I think he realized the only way it's going to work as a movie is that if it was kind of silly.
Well, I think it really seemed like it took its cues from The Sting.
Yeah.
That type of fun.
It has to be a fun heist movie.
Exactly.
Not just like, hey, we're trudging along doing this.
Right. Yeah. Nobody's getting murdered. Nobody's, not losing people. It's just, there's the, who's going to betray whom. And that kind of thing. But it was very light and very fun.
Yeah.
And that's what a good heist movie has to be.
Yes. Fun. That's the big thing. And that's part of the reason, like Ocean's 11, the remake. It is so much fun to watch. It's not necessarily the greatest movie, but it is so much fun.
Right, because they're having fun, we're having fun.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it out, and then, especially with the Ocean's 11, they're stretch the credulity quite a bit.
We're gonna do the switcheroo double do like 18 times.
The switcheroo quadruple do.
Exactly.
At least. But yeah, I think he was very smart about that because he picked an extremely charismatic leading man, an extremely interesting second banana.
Yeah.
And then a very beautiful and talented femme fatale.
Yeah. Poor Lesley-Anne Down in this movie. We'll talk about it, but it's so bad every time. He just keeps throwing her under the bus.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So Sean Connery was cast as Edward Pierce / John Sims.
John Sims.
He's known to the higher ups in the fancy pants world. Yeah.
When I put on my fancies.
Connery originally turned down the film after reading the script, judging it
too heavy.
He was asked to reconsider and read the original novel. After meeting Crichton, Connery changed his mind.
It was so damn big, I was scared to say no. 6'9".
He's huge.
I was petrified.
By 1974, Connery had found his footing in the acting world again after playing James Bond in 6 films.
Yeah, that was a really hard thing to shake. And even today, I mean, he's still my favorite Bond.
Yeah, I agree.
The most fun. Between he and Roger Moore, Bond was fun back then.
Yeah.
It just got too...
I like the new movies. They're just not the same.
They're just not... They're good. They're fun. But they're just not as fun and goofy. It's like...
I don't know
James Bond is ridiculous.
I don't know if I would say the new ones are fun. They're just a little too serious.
Yeah, it just takes it too serious.
It's not a bad thing. It's an interesting take on Bond. It's just not... the Bond that I like.
Well, every Bond fits the era well. The 60s Connery Bond was perfect for the time.
Yeah.
The 70s goofy Roger Moore Bond was perfect for the time. And then everybody's like, oh, gotta have Pierce Brosnan, because of, what was that show he was on?
Oh,
Remington Steele.
Yeah.
Oh, Remington Steele, gotta have him. And then we get him, and we're like, meh.
Wow, he's kind of boring.
Yeah. And then they're like, Timothy Dalton.
It's just really too bad, because both Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan are great actors.
Great actors.
Just
but
not really fitting into this.
It's not their fault.
That's true.
The creative team behind the movies
got pretty bad in the 80s and 90s.
Because they didn't know what to do. They wanted to keep the... the kind of fun, goofy feel, but also kind of make it more serious.
Yeah.
Especially when we went to the Dalton era, and then it just kind of, ate itself and then, disappeared and then came back with just something interesting and different. But I really like Daniel Craig, but Daniel Craig is weird looking, man.
He's an
I just don't see him as the suave ladies' man. And look, James Bond... in the 60s and 70s, that stuff worked. Having
it didn't,
Octopushy.
Yeah.
And Pushy galore.
And Goldfinger. Yeah.
A lot of vagina. And, that's from...
it's Fudgina, thank you.
Fudgina.
A lot of Fudgina.
A lot of fudge.
A lot of fudge.
But, it had to evolve. And I'm really curious to see what they do next.
In 1974, Sean Connery was in Zardoz, the trippy sci-fi film from John Boorman.
Zardoz.
Listen to our Zardoz episode for all that wonderfulness.
If you ever wanted to see Sean Connery with a long ponytail, wearing a singlet.
Mankini.
And then that's the movie for you. Traveling around on a giant floating head that spews guns from its mouth.
Ejaculates guns from its mouth.
Thank you, Adam.
It is the weirdest movie. Not I'd say the weirdest movie I've ever seen. One of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. But it is so friggin' weird and
glorious.
Amazing. I love it. He was also in Murder on the Orient Express, directed by Sidney Lumet, and starring a very large ensemble.
There were some great Agatha Christie adaptations in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
With everybody.
Death on the Nile. Yeah, so good. Ransom, also known as Terrorists, The Terrorists in the U.S., co-starring Ian McShane, which I've never seen, and I love Ian McShane.
Yeah.
And the two of them together sound amazing.
And that was back when Ian McShane was like a raging alcoholic.
Yeah, back when he was more interesting.
He was awesome on Magnum PI.
He's always good. God, he's always so good.
He's the best. He's got to be in his 80s or something.
Yeah, if he's not, he's really pushing 80. If he's not up to 80 already. He doesn't work as much anymore.
He does the John Wick movies, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing I saw him in, John Wick 4. Yeah, he still looks good.
Yeah.
I mean...
he's got that black hair.
He's just got that voice, man. Whew.
John Wick.
I just want to curl up next to a speaker while he's talking.
All right.
Connery would average working on a couple movies a year until 1977, in which he was in A Bridge Too Far, the World War II action movie directed by Richard Attenborough, another ensemble film.
Oh, my God. That movie's 800 hours long, but it's so much fun. Yeah, everybody's in that. Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah, it's huge.
Because there's like 3 different battles going on, and you cut between like the Polish, and you cut the Americans.
40 actors and everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connery was married to French-Moroccan painter Micheline Roquebrune from 1975 until his death. The marriage survived a well-documented affair Connery had in the late 1980s with the singer and songwriter Lindsay DePaul, which she later regretted due to his views concerning domestic violence. Yeah. I didn't know about any of this stuff, so like this is why I'm including it. It is kind of like don't really learn more about your
heroes,
but I had to include it.
I remember this.
Connery had made some troublesome comments about domestic violence in a 1965 Playboy interview.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong in hitting a woman, though I don't recommend you do it in the same way you hit a man.
What does that even mean?
Open hand at him, not closed fist.
So you're slapping, not punching.
Yes.
Wow, okay. So then it's fine.
Slip, slap. Okay. Slappity dap.
His first wife, Diane Salento, to whom he was married from 1962 to 1974, but separated in 1971, claimed he was abusive during the relationship. She made these comments in a biography of hers in 2006. She was an author. Connery actually painted the cover of one of her novels.
Nice.
Like, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that he did painting, but he's a Renaissance man.
A Renaissance man.
Yeah. He also said some inflammatory comments in 1993 saying,
"There are women who take it to the wire. That's what they're looking for. The ultimate confrontation. They want a smack. They want a smackety smack." Yes, I said that on the last show.
So this is the funny thing, is that Jim had no idea that this quote was in this script, and he actually quoted it in the last show. And not even knowing, because you had to have heard it.
It stuck in me, because it's like one of your favorite heroes is talking about slapping women around, and you're like,
what the hell? Yeah.
She needs a smack.
So after his first wife made her comments about the relationship in her 2006 biography, Connery responded with,
"I don't believe that any level of abuse of women is ever justified under any circumstances, full stop."
Yeah, he actually...
Except when they need a smack.
He actually... There was a whole, like, royal family thing that he was supposed to go to, and then he canceled it because of all these comments.
Yeah.
Like, he was under a lot of fire for this stuff.
Well, sure, but he was also... You know, I mean...
And I mean, honestly, at this point, he had stopped acting.
And smacking.
Well, yes. But he had gone out of the... Because his last movie was 2003, and so he...
Was that the one with Catherine Zeta-Jones?
No, that was the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, right.
No, that was... The last movie he did was one of the most awful movies he did. We'll talk about that more next week.
Barf.
Yeah. But although all of those comments and all of the accusations, he was never charged with any domestic violence, but he was...
Statute of limitations.
He never got charged at the time.
Well, because nobody got charged.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, let's not. Because if somebody changes, and I think he did, that's great.
Yes.
And he deserves, and everybody deserves a second chance if they change.
Yes.
But, he was gleefully saying this crap back in the 60s.
Yes.
And it wasn't controversial, unfortunately, back then.
No.
Because women were more property than partner.
Right.
And
that's the stuff in 93 was a little more frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people were like, you don't hit people. You don't hit your partners.
Don't do that.
You don't give them a smack.
He was also well known for getting angry with reporters who asked him the wrong questions.
He was a grump. Let's be honest.
He would not hold back when people asked questions he thought were stupid.
That's a stupid question. You want to try again? I just asked if you enjoyed being on the film. I hated it. Got to see it in my face.
It was around this time in 2006 that Connery retired from acting. It's we'll talk more about. Obviously, we've got a whole month of Connery, so we'll talk a lot more about Connery as we go.
Yeah, he was a very complicated dude.
He was. It was just the fact that I didn't realize any of this stuff had happened.
Yeah.
Like, I apparently wasn't paying attention to Connery at the last 30 years.
Again, he did change.
Yes, he went on record saying it was ridiculous and that he shouldn't do that.
Right.
So, yeah.
He learned his lesson.
Yeah.
Because the publicist told him to.
Yes.
Sean, you can't keep smacking people.
Could you stop talking about it?
I'll give you a smack if you don't.
Oh, God. I've had to deal with Jim randomly shouting out, "I'll give you a smack!"
A smack. A little smackety smack. Smack attack.
So we'll talk more about Sutherland next week. Or not Sutherland, sorry. Talk more about Connery next week.
And his smackings.
Donald Sutherland was cast as Agar, the safecracker guy. I think they called him something else in the movie, but yeah. Sutherland is Canadian and as a child suffered from rheumatic fever, hepatitis, and poliomyelitis, also known as polio.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he should have been dead. Like, he should have died when he was young.
That's why Canada sucks.
This is why single-payer healthcare doesn't work.
Oh, my God.
Except that he got better. So, actually, it does work.
And it does. I believe in
After graduating from the University of Toronto with a double major in engineering and drama, Sutherland moved to London to attend the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art.
Nice.
Also known as Lambda. Sutherland started appearing in British television, gaining steady work. His first feature was starring alongside Christopher Lee in Castle of the Living Dead in 1964.
No, he's so young looking in that.
Yeah. I mean, he is. I mean, he's young. He was. That's he was. I mean, technically, I think he was like 30, but I mean, he looks like he's like 15.
Well, he's got that face.
Yeah. The movie was the directorial debut of Warren Kiefer, which the name might sound familiar because Sutherland named his boy after him 2 years later.
Weird.
I had no idea that Kiefer Sutherland was named after a director, Warren Kiefer.
No, I thought he was named after that drinkable yogurt.
No.
Kiefer.
No.
That was a staple in everybody's refrigerator in the 70s.
It actually is spelled a little differently.
I know, Adam.
So how could it be, Jim?
Okay.
No, I don't know.
All
also,
right.
Did you know that Kiefer has a twin sister?
Named Seifer.
No. No, actually, her name's Rachel.
Okay. You're no fun today.
I know.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing.
So Sutherland Donald also had a supporting role in the Hammer Films production Die, Die, My Darling.
Hold on. I want to go back.
Okay, sorry.
Does his twin sister act, or what does she do?
I don't know what she does. She's not. No, I don't think she's in the business at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That always fascinates me, the children that go in and the children that don't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any of Harrison Ford's kids are actors.
No.
I think they all, but that's also like if your dad is the epitome of, it's like there's no way to surpass that.
Yeah.
Always going to be under the shadow.
Well, and it's not. I'm sure he was probably like, just don't. Like, you shouldn't do it.
Well, it's like Connery's son that started acting,
Yeah.
and he wasn't very good. It's just
It's just like, just don't. Find other things to find joy in.
But Kiefer did a good job.
He's not a bad actor.
No, not at all.
He has
Kiefer's a good actor.
Some issues. I had shared a cigarette or two with Kiefer Sutherland back in the day.
Same.
Yeah, sitting at a bar.
My good friend, her sister dated him, so we would go out occasionally, and he would come to shows that I was doing, and nicest guy.
He was super, yeah. Okay, he had a reputation, especially in the Valley, of going to bars and hanging out for a few days and then leaving because people would realize he's there, and then they would start flocking there because he was there.
Yeah.
And it happened to be at Tiki No, random bar in North Hollywood. He was just sitting on the patio, and I sat down, and he started chatting. He offered me a cigarette. I was like, all right. We just chatted for a bit.
Very, very nice guy.
Yeah. So he also had a supporting role in the Hammer Films production Die, Die, My Darling in 1965 with Tallulah Bankhead and Stephanie Powers.
Yeah.
Sutherland would continue his television work appearing in The Saint with Roger Moore.
That was a fun show.
He Moore directed the episode that he was in, and Sutherland asked Moore for a favor.
He asked me if he could show it to some producers as he was up for an important role. They came to view a rough cut, and he got the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, it was. The Dirty Dozen would make Donald Sutherland a huge star.
He stole the show, and that is
huge star. Yeah.
That is impossiable with that group of people.
Huge cast of some of the biggest stars in the world at that time.
Trini Lopez, baby.
Trini Lopez. So Sutherland, because of the Dirty Dozen, he would be cast in dozen movies over the next few years, including appearing as Hawkeye Pierce in MASH from Robert Altman in 1970.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. As the hippie tank commander Oddball in Kelly's Heroes, starring Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas.
God, such a fun movie.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Sutherland's health was threatened by spinal meningitis contracted during the filming of Kelly's Heroes.
From that movie?
Yeah, he should have literally almost died again.
How did he get it?
So where they were shooting.
That guy's had some health issues.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has a bad immune system.
He must. But he's always recovered. So, I mean, hey, there's something.
I mean, he's still alive a million years later.
Sutherland appeared in 3 other movies in 1978, along with The Great Train Robbery. Blood Relatives, a thriller directed by Claude Chabrol, based on the Ed McBain novel.
Okay.
Animal House, directed by John Landis and written by Harold Ramis, starring John Belushi and Tim Matheson.
He was so great.
He was so great.
He was so great as the professor who was, the pot-smoking professor. One of my favorite lines of that whole thing is when Tom Hulse comes up to him after the party. Can I buy some pot from you? And the look on Sutherland's face is like, I pocketed it. But anyway.
He was also in Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1978, directed by Philip Kaufman, based on the 1954 novel.
Flawed, but it is my favorite version of that story.
Yeah, there really hasn't been a perfect adaptation of the novel.
But this, to me, is the best.
Is the best. I agree.
And it's just, some of these stories fit the 70s so much better than any other time.
Yes.
I don't know why. Maybe it's my own prejudice.
It's kind of the social, like, what was going on socially and stuff. Like, it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, and it's just that last shot where spoiler alert for a million-year-old movie, but when she comes up to him and she's like, hey, and he turns around and his face, man, that is a meme. That's like one of the first memes.
So creepy. Creepy.
Oh, my God. The best, Mad Magazine did such a great parody of that, and the drawing at the end was just like, it was jarring. I was like, Jesus.
It's so creepy. Such a good movie. We'll definitely be covering that at some point. Over the years, Sutherland has been nominated 8 times for a Golden Globe, has won a Primetime Emmy, but has never been nominated for an Oscar.
Seems weird.
It is weird. I think he's one of the best living actors to not be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Although they did give him an honorary Academy Award in 2017.
F you. I pocketed it, and then I threw it away.
You know what I found out? This is total speed bump. But I found out that all of these award shows, when you win, you have to pay for the trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Emmy Award costs over $6,000.
Oh, yeah, but also you have to pay taxes on the gift bags, and sometimes the taxes on those gift bags are like $10,000 to $30,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's why you got to be rich to win an award.
I know. I just had no idea. I just assumed the Academy would give it to you since they're honoring you.
No, they're cheap bastards.
No. Over the years...
I hate the Academy. One other reason why I hate the Academy Awards.
I know. Sutherland can most recently be seen in Lawman, Bass Reeves, in a recurring role as Judge Isaac Parker at the age of 88.
Holy ass, he's 88?
Yeah, and he's still acting.
Still doing great work.
He's got a couple things coming out this year.
I've been dancing around watching that show for a while. It looks like something that would be very...
I think it'd be interesting.
Well, I love Westerns, and it seems like a really cool story.
And he's a fascinating character.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd be curious.
I'll do it.
I don't know if it was... It might have been canceled. I don't know if it got picked up for a second season.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. Lesley-Anne Down was cast as Miriam.
Lesley-Anne Down. There were so many Lesley-Annes. Lesley-Anne Down.
It was a very popular name for quite a while.
Lesley-Anne Warren.
Lesley-Anne
Lipschitz. She was great.
She was great. Down started acting and modeling as a teenager, winning a number of beauty pageants. She was actually voted Britain's most beautiful teenager at the age of 15 in 1969.
I think it's really creepy that people have most beautiful teenager.
Yes. That's why I included it, because it's weird.
Well, any kind of teen thing is creepy, like Miss Teen USA.
Plus, she was 15. Like, not even, like, close to being of age.
I don't know. They were still marrying young back then because they died young.
It's just weird and creepy.
It's super creepy.
Britain, be better. Oh, my God.
I don't think we're any better than Britain.
Well, I know. Oh, trust me. That same year, she made her feature film acting debut in The Smashing Bird I Used to Know, a sexploitation movie that wasn't released in the U.S. until 1975 under the title School for Unclaimed Girls.
Because we couldn't handle it until 75.
Yet again, sexploitation movie that she was in at the age of 15.
Well, maybe she wasn't part of the sex part.
She was the lead.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's weird.
It's actually on Amazon Prime, and I almost watched it, but part of me felt just weird.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
She dropped out of school at the age of 15 and moved to the U.S. at 17. Down would continue to appear in films, but gained the most fame from appearing in the British TV show Upstairs, Downstairs, running from 1973 to 1975.
Yeah.
Which also spawned now all of these British Upstairs, Downstairs shows like... I said McChesney Park. That's not right.
Chesney Park.
McChesney Park.
I think you were thinking of...
Abbott, Downtown Abbey. Downtown Abbey. That's what it is. Downtown Abbey. Not downtown.
And Gosford Park.
Gosford Park. That's the one I was thinking of.
If you don't know what an upstairs downstairs show, it's the rich and the servants.
Yeah.
And how they commingle.
Yeah, they usually live in the basements, and then they have to take care of the rich people. It's usually set in the Edwardian area in the 1900 to 1930 and all this. Anyway.
Yep.
1976, Down starred in the comedy film The Pink Panther Strikes Again opposite Peter Sellers. The film was released by United Artists, received positive reviews from critics, and grossed $75 million worldwide.
I love the Pink Panther movies.
Peter Sellers is a genius.
No other franchise ever milked itself after the death of its star, like the Pink Panther franchise. I'm pretty sure there were 4 movies released after his death where they just kind of took outtakes and cut him in.
Really?
And one of them was kind of like, when they do those lazy recap shows on sitcoms and stuff, where it's like, remember when we were stuck in that, and they just like a clip show.
It was just like a clip.
It was
movie?
basically a clip show movie.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, They could not let go of the Pink Panther franchise.
Wow.
And it didn't add anything good.
I'm gonna have to take a look. I had no idea. That's so funny.
I think I have all of them in a
in
like a DVD
collection.
Yes.
Nice. The following year, Lesley-Anne Down starred in the musical comedy film A Little Night Music, starring opposite Elizabeth Taylor in the adaptation of Stephen Sondheim's 1973 musical, the same name.
Nacht Music.
Little Nacht Music, yeah. After getting a Golden Globe nomination for the miniseries North and South in 1986, Down moved to soap operas. Mm-hmm. She appeared in Dallas and Sunset Beach before landing a lead role on The Bold and the Beautiful from 2003 to 2012.
Yeah.
She most recently will be seen playing Margaret Thatcher in Reagan, the long-gestating biopic of Ronald Reagan, scheduled to be released in August of 2024.
Barf.
Finally. Alan Webb was cast as Edgar Trent. Webb was mainly a theater character actor, originating roles in plays from A.A. Milne, Noel Coward, and T.S. Eliot.
Ooh, Christy.
He made his feature film debut in 1949 with Challenge to Lassie, the fifth feature film in the Lassie franchise.
Yeah, the Challenge to Lassie was...
Sorry. Yes, what was the Challenge to Lassie?
Well, she got real old. She couldn't move around so much, so the challenge was... who was going to put her down?
Oh, God.
And it ended up being him.
All right.
He won the coin toss.
Alan Webb. Oh, Alan Webb.
Got to take out Lassie. Come here, girl.
Timmy would fall in the well, and the dog would run out and help. What? Where's Timmy? Oh, Timmy's in the well again?
Well, what happened, what they later found out, which was very scandalous, is that Lassie was pushing Timmy in the well for the attention.
There was the dog that was doing that. Do you remember that? There was an actual recorded. So the dog at one point saved somebody, and then got like treated, like all these treats and stuff, and then like a week later, the dog does it again, saves his kid, and then they realize that the dog was literally pushing people in and then saving them so he could get treats.
I love that dog.
Yeah, it was so weird.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like what Lassie was. Lassie was a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, true.
Technically.
In 1963, Alan Webb was offered the role of the first Doctor in the BBC's new science fiction series Doctor Who, but declined.
Doctor Who?
Yeah, he didn't want to have anything to do with it. In 1977, he appeared in The Duelist, Ridley Scott's directorial debut.
Nice. Yeah, we're going to have to cover that at some point. Yeah.
Webb was also cast as Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, but had to bow out due to illness.
Oh.
He was the original Palpatine.
Interesting.
And unfortunately, that illness killed him. He died at his home in Haslemere, Surrey on June 22nd, 1982 at the age of 75.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah. Malcolm Terrace was cast as Henry Fowler. Terrace is best known for the British TV show When the Boat Comes In, which ran from 1976 to 1981.
Oh, yeah.
It was a period piece set in between World War I and World War II. Yeah, unfortunately, beyond the leads, which the funny thing is the leads are all British or Scottish.
Sure. Except
for Sutherland. I mean, he was Canadian. Right. But literally everybody else was just British, and they were very popular in Britain.
Hey.
Not very big here.
America, this show's not for you.
Yeah.
This is for our friends across the pond.
It's When the Boat Comes In was a period piece set between World War I and World War II. Terrace appeared in a number of films in supporting roles, including McVicker in 1980, starring Roger Daltrey of The Who. Do you want to point it out?
Nope. I have to stop doing that.
I spelled wrong. It was The Ho.
It's like the horror.
No. He was also in The Plague Dogs in 1982, an animated film based on a novel from Richard Adams, written and directed by Martin Rosen, who did Watership Down, another animated film based on a Richard Adams novel.
I'd like to see that. I loved Watership Down.
I did. Yeah, I had no idea this existed, and I would really like to see this.
Jesus, do not show your kids Watership Down.
It is just because it's animated doesn't mean it's for kids.
Exactly, and this was back when they didn't really have a lot of adult animated
Didn't
stuff.
realize a lot of kids got very messed up because
it's
of that
about
movie.
bunnies.
Oh, let's go!
Can I watch the bunny cartoon, Mom? Yeah, sure.
How
was your bunny cartoon?
All right, well, good thing we're starting therapy. All right. He was also in Slayground in 1983, a thriller based on the Donald E. Westlake novel. I just love the title, Slayground.
Yeah. It's not a playground, baby.
No, it's a Slayground. He was also in Chaplin in 1992, directed by Richard Attenborough. Richard Attenborough, that was the
Robert Downey Jr. vehicle.
Yeah. Terrace passed away in October 2020 from undisclosed causes.
Ooh, I heard it was murder.
Yeah, well, I mean, it might have been. Actually, it might have been COVID. I don't know.
Okay.
Michael Elphick was cast as Burgess. Elphick was a character actor that always looked older than his actual age. I believe he was the guard that was inside during the heist.
What's his name?
Michael Elphick.
He was Burgess.
Yeah.
Yes, he was the guard. He was the guard that was in on the...
Yeah, he was with the big mutton chops. That was like when poor Donald Sutherland has to lay on top of a dead cat for hours.
Catch me a dead cat.
He's just with his little fingers poking out, going like, "Get me out of here! Get me out of here!" Yeah. But this was Michael Elphick. He appeared as the lead character's father in Quadrophenia in 1979 at the age of 33, despite only being 12 years older than the actor who played his son.
Good Lord.
Yeah. He appeared in The Elephant Man in 1980 from David Lynch.
I am not an animal. I am a human being.
Such a good movie.
John Melick.
Merrick.
I know, but the accent in it.
Because his mouth is all messed
Yes,
up.
because he's weird looking. He's an elephant man. It's the big trunk that keeps getting in the way, and those giant ears. In the tusks.
I think you should rewatch that movie again.
Wait, I'm thinking of Babar.
Also directed by David Lynch. Yes. Elphick gained recognition for his role in Gorky Park in 1983 from Michael Apted. I don't know if you've seen Gorky Park.
I know, I definitely have.
One of those movies that I've heard of for a long time, but I've never
it's great.
seen.
It was one of the first thrillers to take place in Russia. It had William Hurt, I believe, starred in it.
Yeah.
And it was like a kind of murder mystery in Russia.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. In 1984, he played the lead Fisher, a British detective recalling under hypnosis a dystopian crumbling Europe and his hunt for a serial killer in Lars von Trier's Palme d'Or winning nominated debut film, didn't win, The Element of Crime. Lars von Trier is very hit and miss for me.
Yes.
I've never seen this. I'm kind of curious.
It sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. He appeared as Jake the Poacher in the British cult film With Nail and I in 1987.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's such a good movie.
Everybody's got With Nail and I as their favorite movie. Every snooty snoot that I know is like, ew, With Nail and I. It's the greatest movie I've made. It's fine.
Elphick would become well known for his British TV programs, Auf Wiedersehen Pet in 1983, which, again, this is for our British audience, was huge over there.
Oh, yeah.
About construction guys that go work in Germany. 3 Up, 2 Down from 1985 to 1989. Boone in 1986, perhaps his most lauded role as a former fireman turned motorbike dispatcher who does private investigating on the side.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Boone was very successful and ran for 7 seasons, attracting audiences of 11 million at its peak.
I love watching old British shows.
You should find Boone. I don't know if it's available anywhere. I'll have to find it, but it sounds fascinating.
Probably got to get BritBox.
Oh, BritBox.
Another streaming service.
I've heard Brit shows. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah. I love the Brits.
Yeah. In 2001, he joined EastEnders, the long-running BBC soap opera. Unfortunately, Elphick was an alcoholic, drinking upwards of 2 liters of spirits, almost 3 bottles of booze a day at the peak of his addiction.
Do we know what his flavor of choice? It's probably vodka, huh?
I don't. I think it was whiskey.
Really?
But I don't quote me on that.
Because old dudes usually go to the vodka because it's easier. They think that it's easier to mask, but you just end up smelling like a rubbing alcohol factory.
The problem was that he wasn't an old dude. He was still under 40.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Like, he has a problem. He had a bad problem.
Apparently.
It heavily influenced his ability to stay on EastEnders, and his character was killed off screen. He tried to stop drinking many times, even joining AA, but nothing helped.
This just shows you it's a disease.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, we've had to talk about this ad nauseum.
I know.
It's so true. It's just...
Yeah. I mean, for some people, there's just nothing you can do. In 1996, his long-term partner, Julia Alexander, died from cancer, and his alcoholism got much, much worse.
Oh, yeah.
He admitted to many thoughts of suicide during this period. On September 7th, 2002, Elphick died of a heart attack complicated by his drinking problem.
No.
He had collapsed at his home in Willesden Green, London, after complaining of pains. He was rushed to the hospital where he died shortly before his 56th birthday.
Good Lord. God, that guy looks like he's so much older than me.
I know. That was the whole thing. He's one of those people from a very young age. He looked 50, and so he just ran with it.
Well, it's like that dude from the 3 Body Problem from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, oh my God, I don't remember his name. Liam something.
Cunningham or something.
Yes, Liam Cunningham. Yes.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I think you're right.
He's looked the same from 30 to 70.
Yeah,
it's just like I guess it's that gray beard and gray hair.
Just one of those things. Yeah. Wayne Sleep was cast as William Clean Willie Williams.
Oh, Why'd they call him Clean Willie?
That was never explained. I don't know.
Because he got away clean? Because he didn't seem very clean.
No, he was definitely not. Sleep started his career as a dancer, and at 5'2" was the shortest male dancer admitted to the Royal Ballet School.
That would have been weird. Yeah. Well, you're the shortest, but we're going to let you in. We might need kid parts or something.
I mean, honestly, because of his short stature, directors were reluctant to cast him as leads.
Well, yeah.
But because he was so good, those same directors would originate roles just for him.
Yeah, that guy could move.
Yeah, he's very, very popular in England. Sleep created the role of Mr. Mistopheles in Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Cats in London's West End at the New London Theatre in 1981.
Gross.
Yes, he is the reason that we have Mr. Mistopheles.
Good little cat, good little cat.
Hey. Yeah, that's not how it goes. I don't know why I don't care.
Yeah, it should. It would be better.
I didn't include this, but I'm going to talk about it. The whole bit, Wayne Sleep was Clean Willie, who they had to get out of prison, and he had to scale up the wall and then hang on to the barbed spikes or whatever and cut his hands.
Now, did he? Because there seemed to be enough handholds.
I know.
It seems like Clean Willie was kind of dumb.
But the funny thing is that they asked him to do it because he was a dancer, and they were like, "You're very athletic." And he goes, "No, I'm not going to do that. That's insane."
Look, dancing is different than climbing, weirdos.
And they said, "Well, sorry, we literally can't find a small enough stunt double."
Oh my God.
And he goes, "All right, well, I guess I'll do it." And he did it. That was him doing it.
He did a good job too.
Yeah, it was just crazy. He was just like, all right. In fact, at the end, when the movie was being promoted, they actually had a contest saying, if you can prove that the actors didn't do their own stunts, we'll give you $10,000. Yeah, which they knew they didn't because they all did their own stunts.
Right, of course. You don't make a claim like that unless you know you can back it up.
Yeah. So Sleep has not had a huge film career, being busy with literally everything else, but he did choreograph the tango scene in 1978's Death on the Nile.
Oh.
And at 75, he's still a very active dancer. He's still very active in the community. Like, he's been in so much Broadway and plays. Oh my God, he's just had a huge career.
Because you can be a little guy and be on stage.
Yeah.
Well, you can be a little guy in movies, too. Look at Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is 4'6". Nobody knows that.
He has some of Ron DeSantis' leg extenders.
He does.
Well, this is part of the reason that he can run so fast.
Because he's so little.
Because he's so small.
Yeah.
The air just passes by him because he's just so small.
Well, also, when you're that little, it looks like things are going by faster because they're so much bigger. I'm Tom Cruise and I'm a little guy.
It's the open hand running. It's so like he's karate chopping as he runs.
I'm a robot runner, running. I'm Tom Cruise.
Anyway. Pamela Salem was cast as Emily Trent. Salem was actually born in Bombay, India in 1944 during the British occupation. Salem has appeared in a ton of British television, but did make some appearances on American TV, such as
Magnum P.I., Party of Five, ER, and The West Wing,
where she played a British Prime Minister.
Nice.
Surprise.
I was also on Party of Five. I wonder if we were on the same episodes.
I bet you were. She would appear with Connery in the unofficial Bond movie Never Say Never Again as Miss Moneypenny.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunately, she passed away in February 2024 at the age of 80.
No.
So Sean Connery performed most of his own stunts in the film, including the extended sequence on top of the moving train.
Yeah.
Connery was told that the train would travel at only 20 miles per hour during his time on top of the cars. However, the train crew used an inaccurate means of judging the train's speed.
Okay.
The train was actually doing speeds of more 40 to 50 miles an hour while he was running on top of it.
It seems like they didn't really study this train too much before they started using? Because wasn't there a fire and stuff too?
Yeah. We'll talk about that, yeah. A camera helicopter was actually having trouble keeping up with the train. It was going so fast.
Hey, slow down!
It seems like someone would have said something and then slowed the train down.
It was a helicopter, man. Helicopters go faster than trains.
Well, they couldn't keep up, apparently. Not British helicopters.
Yes.
They don't. They have governors on them that keep them at 30 miles an hour. Yeah.
And that's what they sound like.
Literally. Connery wore soft rubber-soled shoes, and the roofs of the carriages were covered with a sandy, gritty surface to keep him from slipping.
Good.
Despite that, he actually slipped and nearly fell off the train during one jump between two carriages and had difficulty keeping his eyes free of smoke and cinders from the locomotive.
So he did jump from car to car.
He did.
Nice.
There was that one point where he actually jumped and then, it was going so fast that the clothes that he took from Donald Sutherland fell out of his hand, which was unplanned. The camera had to follow him as he picked it all back up.
Well, at least he was smart enough to do it. He was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it would have ruined the continuity of the movie.
Right, so he just went for it.
And funny enough, I really wish that they had recorded how pissed off he was when they finished the stunts and he came down.
You sons of bitches! Come here! Look at my hands! They're covered in soot! I almost fell off the goddamn train! You sons of bitches!
Just line them up.
You're all gonna get a smack! You smack! You smack! 2 smacks for you! Smack, smack!
At one point, the cinders from the train actually caught Michael Crichton's hair on fire.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Houston Station in Dublin stood in for London Bridge Station in the movie.
You know why? Because London Bridge is falling down.
Okay. Wow. All right. Wow.
First London Bridge joke of the century.
Might be your most dad joke you've ever told.
It was great.
During the filming at the station, a diesel locomotive leaked a large quantity of fuel onto the tracks by the platform. When the production company's steam engine rolled into the same tracks, embers dropped from the underside of the locomotive, ignited the fuel-soaked track, and momentarily produced a very large fire within the station.
Nice.
It almost burned down Houston Station in Dublin.
Yeah. You guys ever work with a train before? Nope.
Nah.
It's gonna be easy.
Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, most of these steam engines were out of... I mean, they're all out of service.
Well, sure.
But it was just...
Well, you might want to read the manual.
Nobody was like, hey, there's a bunch of diesel all over there. We shouldn't have a large fire. You can see the fire from the train as they're shooting it.
Should we mop it up, eh? Should we mop it up?
Oh, mop it up.
Yeah. Should we mop it up?
Nah.
It'll be fine.
It'll all evaporate out. It's fine.
Yeah, Shingley, we don't care about it.
Here comes that steam engine. So the film soundtrack was written by Oscar-winning composer Jerry Goldsmith.
Nice.
The score was his third collaboration with Crichton following Pursuit, the TV movie in 1972, and Coma in 1978.
Yeah.
The movie made its debut in London on December 14th, 1978. It would make $13 million at the box office against a $7 million budget.
Not bad.
Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 3 stars out of 4 and singled out Connery, writing that the actor...
It's one of the best light comedians in the movies, and has been ever since those long ago days when he was James Bond.
Long ago days. It was like 5 years.
I know.
Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4 and wrote that it...
Takes too much time to get the robbery itself. I hate joy!
What is... There's a setup. I mean, did he not get there had to be a setup?
Gene effing Siskel, man.
He's just an idiot.
He is just a bitter Chicagoan.
The sad is that I don't like it because he's dead. But the fact is that the more I learn about him, the less I like him.
Well, Adam, Hitler's dead, and you can still say mean things about him.
Well, Gene Siskel didn't murder a bunch of people.
Gene Siskel was the Hitler of critics.
He murdered a bunch of movies. He actually found very little suspense in the first half of the movie.
Because we know the Connery's gang must get the keys, or we won't be able to see the big robbery in the film's title.
F you, dude. F you.
Did he just want to see, if he really wanted to just see the robbery, then he should have watched the original 1910 film that was based on this.
And dude, do you think a movie called The Great Train Robbery isn't going to have a great train robbery? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I know. Why did they have to set up everything? Why couldn't they just have started the movie and have them go straight to the train and steal everything, and then that's that?
Okay, then the movie's 20 minutes long.
I hate life.
It actually, funny enough, you can actually watch the original movie, quote-unquote movie, the Great Train Robbery.
What year is it from?
1902, I think.
Oh, so silent.
Yeah. But it was also the first movie that actually had 2 storylines happening at the same time.
Oh.
Like, it was because they're in essentially stealing the keys, and then it cuts to, on the train. But it's, the first time it had done that. Yeah.
That's great. That's so funny. It's like, it was the first POV shot, or it was the first,
Yeah.
I remember when movies first started, and they took the film of the train coming towards the camera, and then everybody in the theater ran out of the theater because they thought the train was coming in.
Then nobody understood why it worked.
Because nobody had seen it before.
This was the Great Train Robbery. Also, that original one in 1902 or whatever was ended with, because it ended with him getting caught and there being a shootout. And then the end, though, is the final shot is, I'm sure you've seen the shot of a guy shooting at the camera.
Yeah.
Scorsese used that in Goodfellas.
Yes.
Like, he just, that random shot. Whereas that's the reason that I figured this out.
Oh, yeah.
A YouTube video popped up, and he was like, why is this thing? And it's an homage to this movie from 1902.
He robs from the best.
Yeah. But it was just, it's fascinating. But it all ties together.
It does.
Yeah. Vincent Canby of the New York Times had much better things to say about the film. He praised Crichton's
amplitude in his visually dazzling period piece.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he means by amplitude.
No.
I don't know. He made it better than he thought it would be.
I guess somebody needed to grab a thesaurus, put a little word in.
It's New York Times. They're gonna be hoity-toity.
Yeah, you can't use good. Well, what about amplitude?
Wool sounds great. He added about the actors.
The climactic heist of the gold, with Mr. Connery climbing atop of moving railroad cars, ducking under bridges just before a possible decapitation, is marvelous action footage that manages to be very funny as it takes your breath away. Mr. Sutherland is the none-too-bright locksmith, and Miss Down, who must appear in several figuratively transparent disguises, have fun with what are, in effect, character roles. The three work together beautifully.
Yeah, it's a super fun movie.
Oh my God, it is. I wanted to point out really quickly, we didn't talk about Gabrielle Lloyd, right?
No.
So Gabrielle, I just want to talk about one thing. Gabrielle Lloyd, who is like the dodgy looking one, the one that was the daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was also in Lassie, the 2005 version of Lassie.
Oh, really? Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
She was in Robin Hood, the 1991 one. Yeah. And most recently can be seen in Nothing. Because she's dead. No, but she was also in Sleepy Hollow with, she had a very big career too.
Nice.
I knew she looked familiar.
Look, there are a lot of other people in the movie that had bigger careers.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of stuff that I didn't know.
I just wanted to point out, since she was in American films.
Right.
And we gave the British a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
The Americans a little bit too. But yeah, she had a very long and illustrious career.
Yeah, so this movie is available on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend giving it a watch. It's very fun. It's a great heist movie.
It is. And the 70s did heist and con movies so great. It has, if you like The Sting with Paul Newman and Robert Redford, you're going to love this movie because it has that same kind of fun vibe. Heist movies have to be fun.
Yeah, it is. It is totally fun.
Yeah.
I applaud Michael Crichton for understanding that, and not because I want to read the novel. The novel sounds interesting, but it's a much more straightforward adaptation of the story. I do want to mention that the actual heist, the way it happened, unlike in the movie, they actually didn't get caught.
Ooh,
they didn't even know that the gold was taken until it got to Paris, meaning that it got all the way down to the English Channel, put on a boat, taken then to another train, and then taken to Paris, and they had no idea until they opened it and it was gone.
Well, because it was still heavy, and it was like, why would we?
It felt like, because they did the smart thing of putting the lead in. And
plus it was, it seemed impossible.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what that's the whole thing, is that I don't know if the railroad company was more lax because they were like, well, nobody's going to rob a moving train. Yeah. Like, how?
Well, I think the difference is the four keys were probably in the same place.
Yeah.
It wasn't well, you have to get this man and that man.
No, it wasn't as elaborate. And it also helped that I think two of the main four that were doing the robbery actually worked for the railroad.
And the guy was an ex-railroad guy, right?
Yeah, the guy who played
Mastermind.
Sean Connery was a
disgruntled employee.
He was actually, he had been fired because he was a gambler. He was addicted to gambling, and so he got fired. And I think that was part of the reason he was like, well, F you guys, I'm going to steal his gold then.
Stealing your gold.
But so the funny thing is that they literally didn't even know how they did it. They didn't know any iota of what happened. Like, totally got away with it scot-free.
Insane.
It was 12,000 pounds worth in 1855, which was worth about $1.2 million, 1.2 million pounds now.
Right.
About 1.5 million pounds. But the reason they end up getting caught at the end of the day was because the Sean Connery character, Pierce, he refused to pay Agar, the guy Dallas Sutherland played, he refused to pay his wife some money because he got caught doing something else. And so she told Agar this, and then he just turned on him.
Yeah.
And they all... So Pierce, the real Pierce, got hard labor, 2 years hard labor in England, and the other three got banished from the country. They got sent to Australia.
Oh, man.
Penal
colony.
Penal transportation, they called it, which was a punishment. It was supposed to be for 14 years. Most of them only spent like 2 years there, and then they were allowed to leave.
Oh, okay.
But they still had conditional, like they couldn't get caught doing stuff again, otherwise they could be sent back.
2 years seems pretty low.
But it was
for Pierce.
Yeah, I know, but it was hard labor. So like I don't know what that means.
That means like pounding rocks, man.
Yeah, like it was terrible backbreaking work.
2 years of hard labor is like 10 years.
It ages you hard,
and a lot of people didn't survive.
No, yeah.
It's not like there's lots of water and breaks and stuff. It's just you're pounding rocks from morning to night.
From what I could tell, I don't think the money was ever recovered.
Really?
Or the gold. I don't think the gold was ever recovered. So.
Well, you know what, Adam? Here it is.
If only.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, it's a fascinating story. I love it. I totally get why Michael Crichton got obsessed with it.
Sure.
Like same way that I do. I love Michael Crichton. He has the career I wish I had.
Yeah.
Like, because I write and I love movies and directing and all that stuff. But he just managed to hit all those cylinders, man.
Yeah, and he had a really good career. I've read most of his books. I haven't read The Great Train Robbery, which I'd like to.
Yeah.
But I've read just about all the other ones. And they're fun. I mean, they're quick reads.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is a fun, quick read.
Oh, yeah. It's great. I mean, the movie's great, but the book is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, they're beach reads, man. They're summer reads.
Summer read, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with fun books.
No.
You know? I'm so tired of people being like, so snooty about what you read. If you're reading, you're reading, and read what you want to read, people.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what everybody's thinking.
No, it's fine. I mean, look, if you like romance novels, do it. Go for it.
Nobody reads anymore. The fact that you're just reading makes you an intellectual. It doesn't matter what it is. You're reading Bazooka Joe comics from your stupid...
So much gum in your mouth from so many comics.
Gum that's impossible to chew. You ever chew that just like cuts up your cheeks?
Terrible.
It's like
I always felt like my teeth were going to break.
I don't know what they made that stuff out of.
It was not good, whatever it was.
But man, this movie is just joy. It's a real fun, quick romp. It's not that long, and it just
and it
moves.
It moves really well. I mean, because they did get into it from the very beginning. It's like, okay, we're doing it.
Connery is the personification of charm, and Donald Sutherland is just so much fun to watch.
Oh, God, he's so good.
Yeah, and a young Donald Sutherland, there's just nothing better.
He embodies that character so well.
His facial expressions, his eyes, everything about him is working to make the character better. Like, he is a full body, face, everything actor. Like, there's some actors that are just whatever. But
looking at you, The Rock.
Oh God, I wouldn't even call him an actor. But Donald Sutherland, if you haven't seen a lot of his earlier stuff, I would say watch MASH, watch this, watch Body Snatchers, watch Don't Look Back or whatever that.
I think it's called Don't Look
with
Back.
Julie Christie, and he was a very sexy movie. The rumor is they actually had sex while filming the scene. One of the few times people did it. Mickey Rourke also apparently had sex on that Orchid movie, that the Blue Orchid or something Orchid. They made a sequel, but apparently he had sex with the lead in that on camera too, which is like what? It's not acting anymore. It's just being.
Then you're just literally making porn. All right,
but yeah, and then Sean Connery, man, it's just he is just watchable.
Eminently watchable.
Yes.
And
everybody in it is great. There's not a stinker. You're really going to dig this movie if you haven't.
It's
seen
super fun. Yeah. Don't be like Gene Siskel and not understand how heist movies work.
Yes.
You have to have a setup to the heist, and it's done very well.
I mean,
one of the best sequences, the one that you remember most, was trying to get the key out of that office.
Well, the guy takes his pee.
If we didn't have that, the movie would be boring.
It's the journey, not the destination. Generally with heist movies, it's how you get to the heist, and then inevitably it usually falls apart or something. But at least it didn't in this one. Like, the heist went smooth.
Yeah,
they
did it.
And then Connery sacrifices himself.
He gets caught at the end, but then he
does
the old getaway.
Hagar comes through in the end. But it's such a fun movie and a great way to start off this Connery month.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the rest of the month.
I am too, because I haven't seen most of these movies. Even Untouchables, I haven't seen in probably 15 years.
It's probably about the same. It's been a while.
Longer.
Yeah.
And this movie I haven't seen probably since I was a little kid. And there's a couple of movies that I was worried about with this month. This was one of them. Because, I was reading things like, it's so boring, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who's watching this?
I know.
Did we watch the same movie? And I'm a little worried about...
I'm still working on the outline script, but so many people are like, well, like, Connery's the best thing about that movie. Everything else sucks.
Well, that's not true. I remember James P. Seeking being good, and I remember...
Frances Sternhagen?
Frances Sternhagen is great.
She's amazing.
And the head's exploding. That's the best part, is when the suits... because it takes place in space.
Yeah.
When the pressurization goes out on the suits, it's just like their heads. It's like a balloon. You see the balloon, and then pop. So gross. Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to watch it. I love sci-fi, and I can't believe I've never seen it.
I know. Well, we got some really fun stuff this month with our Classic Connery.
Yeah.
We got Outland next. Then we got The Untouchables.
Name of the Rose.
Name of the Rose, and then The Untouchables.
Yeah. Name of the Rose is fascinating.
Oh my God.
I'm excited to see it again.
It's the best.
That's the one that I'm a little worried about, just because I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's just like a really cool monk detective show, but not Monk, the guy that doesn't like germs, an actual brother.
Yeah, the novel's fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
And Untouchables is such a great movie. I mean, so many great actors in that.
Well, you did a good job, Adam. You don't get a schmack. We'll see you next week.
Please stop smacking people.
Schmackety schmack. And he played this historian.
Yeah.
That ran this. He played this. He played a historian for Springville. Yeah. But you have hey Pally.
Telly Savalas.
No.
Isn't that Telly Savalas?
No, Telly Savalas is. Hey baby. Hey Pally. That's the guy from. I'm going to shoot you in the subway. With the mustache.
I'm going to shoot you in the subway.
The Death Wish.
Oh, yes. Okay, now that you say that, Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson.
Now that you say that is definitely Charles Bronson.
Yeah, going to get you, Pally.
Hey, Pally.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Barney Miller, already in progress.